Good day, my name is Enrique Alvarez and I'm with Vector Global Logistics. We are here once again in one of our new Fireside Chats with Buddy Teaster. Christy, how are you doing? I'm super excited about this conversation.
I'm good. I'm thrilled to have Buddy here. I'm thrilled for everybody to learn more about them if they're not familiar with Soles4Souls, or just to have a deeper understanding maybe. I'm always learning more about them, so I think everybody else will too. But yes, today we have Buddy Teaster, the president and CEO of Soles4Souls, which creates opportunities through the distribution of shoes and clothes around the world. So I love the creates opportunities aspect, but we're super excited to talk to you today.
Great. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. It's what you guys do is really important, and thanks for giving us a chance to talk about it with your audience. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, and for everything you and your team does. And of course, the organization's amazing, Soles4Souls. We'll put all the links to your website to make sure that everyone understands exactly what you do. But the one thing that we wanted to focus on today is microenterprise. What is that? What is that concept for people that don't really understand what it is, and why is it so important and such a key part of your strategic growth?
So microenterprise can mean a lot of things. For us, Enrique, the idea is really simple. We collect new and used shoes and clothes, mostly in the US, but around the world. And some of that we give away for free to help people in the short term. But all the used product that we collect, and sometimes new, we sell to people in the developing world, mostly Latin America, really Central America, the Caribbean, Eastern Europe and Moldova. We're starting in the Philippines. And the idea is, rather than just charity, giving away things for free, which there's a role for that, but for the long term, selling shoes to people who then resell them as a way to create an income. So that might be a small business, it might be a spot in a market, it might be from their home, but it's a way for them to take control of their economic lives, often in a way that allows them to earn a meaningful living. Instead of doing what everybody else is doing with this no margin and kind of hard to differentiate yourself, we provide higher quality, lower cost shoes in a way that allows them to make a real difference in their lives.
And microenterprise is a whole other level of complexity outside of just donating shoes. And I'm sure there have been some bumps along the way. So for other organizations who might be considering this kind of model, what have you guys learned in the process? And can you share a success story or two?
So I think the thing that we have learned, and we get to practice every day, is we have a super clear mission around creating opportunity, as you read. Mm-hmm. And we don't let ourselves get confused that we also have to run this like a business. This part of what we do is commercial. And so when you walk into most of our planning meetings or our daily huddles, you would hear things that you would recognize: KPIs, quarterly goals and priorities, P&L. Because if we get that wrong, it doesn't just affect us, right? People's livelihoods can go like that. And in many of the places that we work, they've heard this story before, like, oh, I'm here to help. And then something changes in the US or money dries up and they're gone. We've done that before. We've made some mistakes where we weren't able to consistently deliver. People go hungry. Oh, that's inconvenient. I don't know if it's life or death, but it's damn close. Yeah. And so we have to be able to assure them that we're going to show up and deliver what we promised so that they can take care of themselves and their families.
Yeah. And what would you say is just something that, I guess, just tell us a couple of stories behind the curtains there, some of these people who are in the midst of this and who have been able to find opportunity and an income. What are some of those stories?
So maybe there are lots of them that I could share,
yes.
Which is the good news. But I'll share one
book, yes.
from Honduras, because I think there are two pieces of the story that I can tell. We have a partner that we've been working with for a long time. He has an organization called the World Compass Foundation. And Raul, he's this amazing guy. He's an MMA fighter. He's a badass, right? But he also has this giant heart. And he really wants to help kids, especially young boys, get off the streets, right? They are really at risk for going into gangs and and he's been there, right? So this isn't some theoretical thing. He knows what that life is like. So he was trying to figure out how to engage these kids. And we came to him. We'd already been doing some work with him in distributing shoes for free. And he's like, I want to learn more about this micro program. So we started out working with individual entrepreneurs. And I'll share one story. There was a woman named Marati. She had two kids who were 18 and 19, super disabled, like both in wheelchairs their whole lives, needed total care from her. Well, there's no care, right? If she doesn't do it, it doesn't get done. And which made it really hard for her to work, right? She couldn't be gone for more than an hour or two because the kids needed help. So we brought her 2 bags of shoes to start. And she was having to make the kind of decisions, Christy, around, do I feed the kids or do I give them medicine? Like the most heartbreaking kind of things that any parent would have to imagine going through. And that was real for her. One of her son in particular was really at risk. So she got these shoes. She could sell them from her house, right? She could put them in the window. She was WhatsApp and Facebook Marketplace. And her kids can be involved. These kids are smart. One of them just passed away last year, which is terrible. But they were there engaging people in the community. They could contribute, right? They weren't just sitting back and letting stuff get done to them or for them. So we got her some more shoes. 6 months later, she's not having to make that decision anymore about, do I feed them or get them medicine? Like, she could do both. I saw her about 6 months apart. She, like, physically, she was different. Like, the load of that worry was gone for her. So that's one thing. But what's happened in the last maybe year or so with Raul, he's gotten to be a much better business person, right? He's learned a lot how to do this. And so now he's opened 3 thrift stores. He's got, I think, about 25 employees. These are especially the women. I know 2 who tried to get out of Honduras, right? They tried to immigrate to the US illegally. They got caught in Mexico. We know those stories, and it happened to them. It's terrible. Now they are back in a place that provides stable employment and a good income. And they're like, I don't have to leave now. I was thinking about leaving because there's no opportunity here. Now I have opportunity. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm taking care of my family. I love my work. I love this community. We could talk about all kinds of political stuff, but if Raul creates a place where people don't have to leave because they feel like they have opportunity, everybody benefits from that, right? Except the cartels, maybe, which is another win. So to see hit, like, he uses barcodes, he's a sophisticated retailer, and he's helping these women sell from their homes. That is such a fantastic story to see. As he's gotten more sophisticated, he's able to serve more people, and that's exactly what we're here to help him do.
Yeah.
That's
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's incredibly powerful, and it's amazing how something that most of us would consider simple, like a pair of shoes, could make such an incredible change to us to eradicate immigration, right? I mean, we've heard this over and over again, right? So if you kind of start building these business cases, put them together, give them empowerment and a little time, you can really change things. So thank you so much. This is great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about Microenterprise, Christy, is these people don't need us to come down and teach them like business, or, I mean, they need some help with accounting maybe, but like what they just need is a fair shot, right? Often these people, especially the small entrepreneurs, like what they have access to is crappy product at a high price, and they can't win.
Right.
So if we take out the middleman and work with our local partner to say all that we can do to put as much of that final sales price in her hands as possible, or as an employee, that's the win, right? And there's not all this kind of like, we'll show you how to do it. These people work harder than any of us,
right?
On any day.
Right.
And if you just give them the opportunity to say, here's better product at a better price so that you can put more money in your pocket, you didn't get out of the way. You don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, I'm curious, a little bit along that lines. I'm curious if there is and what there might be criticism for microenterprise, especially if it's a nonprofit starting one, that whole model. So I'm curious, if there has been any controversy around just that model or pushback against that model, what that is and how you would refute it.
Yeah, there's some people who think selling shoes to poor people is terrible, like just sort of on the surface of it, that's bad. There are some people who look at us, we earn about 80% of our revenue, so we don't have that much philanthropy. And they're like, are you really a not-for-profit? Are you just making money? So there's sort of a judgment there that not-for-profits shouldn't be profitable, which is not true, but a lot of people feel that way. You know, this is something we fight internally all the time. We have to make trade-offs, like, do we sell these shoes or do we give them away? Like, for some shoes, we could do either of those things, right? They're new product. And sometimes we sell them and sometimes we give them away. And there's always somebody on the other side of that who's like, well, you should have done X. And that's true. Like you could have gone either way. We have a really clear metric for us around economic impact that helps us make those decisions. So it's not random, but we get judged for that a fair bit. And I think the fact that we sometimes run Soles4Souls too much like a business, that we certainly heard that outside and inside of, I thought this was a charitable organization. No, it's a not-for-profit organization, and we do these things. And the reason to make money is the more money we can make, the more money we can put into helping. We're not doing it so any of us get rich.
Right.
If you want that, that's not here. But if you like making money because we can have more impact, then this is a great place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And there are lots of organizations as well that do microenterprise. Some probably do it really well, some probably not so much. So I'm curious if there are any that you have your eye on or you're learning from or that you think do it really well.
So, it's interesting. I would say there are more social enterprises and B Corps that we watch rather than other microenterprise. Most of the microenterprise that I know relatively well is kind of around the thrift model. That's a big business here in the US. Goodwill's a couple $1 billion organization when you roll it all up. There are lots of others like that. So that's kind of not our focus. They're more around employment here in the US. So we don't really look to them. They do a great job of making it easy to donate your stuff to them. So we admire that. There's a company called Trove, for example, TROVE, and they are kind of the back end of re-commerce. So they'll take products in from Patagonia or REI, some other, maybe the North Face, some others. They repurpose it, recondition it, and then sometimes they give it back to the brand to sell. Sometimes they sell it on their behalf. So here's a for-profit company that's raised a lot of dough. They're kind of doing what we're doing, right? They don't have this impact in Honduras, but they are really great at the sustainability piece, which is a part of our story. And we're like, okay, how do we compete with somebody who just raised $100 million? Well, we have a story they don't have. They can't ever tell that story about Marari in Honduras, right? How do we make that so compelling that some people will decide to work with us instead of send it to Trove? Trove is on one of our advisory councils. They're great friends. The market has really shifted to where social enterprise and B Corps compete much more directly. And if we don't change, like there's no reason that Soles4Souls gets to be in business, right? I mean, 10 years from now, we could be irrelevant if we don't change and figure out how to adapt. And so that seems to be more productive for us to think about as models or, to learn from.
Yeah, fantastic.
Buddy, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing some of these stories with us. And again, thank you so much for everything that you and your organization does. It has been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to speaking with us today as well. This is great. And of course, for everyone else that's listening, if you want to continue learning from business owners and organizations like Soles4Souls, please don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you, Christy. See you, buddy.